my ladies, now arriving in the airport terminal. Honor flight, Southern New Mexico, carrying veterans from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. God bless our veterans.
Hey, good morning. You guys having fun yet?
Yeah. Nice job. Are you?
Oh, I love this. We just left the state of Virginia. We're now entering the District of Columbia. Behind it, that is the Watergate complex, where President Nixon got in a lot of trouble. And this is the famous morning rush hour for Washington, D.C.
When I wasn't nothing but a kid, I went and volunteered when I was 18. And we didn't make it to the Philippines because we run into the Japanese. I had about 50 ships out there. Run into them, had a shootout there, and nobody got hurt that I know of. Then when we got to Marshall Islands, we got run into a bunch of planes. There was 7 of them, we got 6 of them, and Jenkins got the other one. So they couldn't bomb us, but we bombarded that there at Marshall Islands because there was plenty of Japanese in there. Had some little boats, they started shooting at us, torpedoes. And I was standing over on the starboard side of the ship and looked down, that one went right up the side of us, but it didn't hit us. It went straight on out, and we kept going that way, towards the fleet, to where the Japanese were. We started to go on into the harbor. We run into a mine. Number 1 engine room made a big hole in it. It killed 8 people in there, in the fire room. Well, they scalded them to death. That's what happened. Burned them. It just raised the front of that there ship up, that there destroyer. It went up like that there and come down. And we was about to sink, and the captain told us to get our life jackets on. We was going to abandon the ship. And they was laying on each side of us, and Japanese too. Brought everybody up to bat of it, because they're going down nose first. And so they all got on the bat. We was unloading the ammunition and cut the chains on the anchors and dropped them and the chains too. That there kept us up. And we finally leveled off, and the captain said, we're going to float. Said, we'll make it.
It was beautiful. Never had something like that. It took me 30 years, 50 years to get it, but it deserved it.
I'd like to recognize Mr. Robert E. Schiffner. Sir. We have a little bit of citation here. I'd like to read it on behalf of the Korean government. Ambassador for Peace, official proclamation, Robert E. Schiffner. It is a great honor and pleasure to express the everlasting gratitude of the Republic of Korea.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your service.
For my birthday in March, I got a greetings to report for physical for the military. But I didn't want to go. I was just a newlywed and having fun. So, well, I have to go. I'm going to join the Navy because I don't want to go in the Army. I got there to the Naval recruiting station and I had hitchhiked, as a matter of fact, to get there even. They asked me if I'd gotten the greetings, we called it, invitation to go for physical, and I said, yeah, I had. So we can't take you. Then from there, sent to Fort Bliss, Texas. Just finished my second 8 weeks of basic training. I thought I was going to be on orders to go overseas, but Korean war had come to it. They quit whatever you want to call it. So I didn't go overseas. I never went overseas. Of course, many years later, I'm glad, certainly glad I learned a lot while I was in the military. Like I say, I was a young squirt. Thought I knew everything when I went in. Learned that I didn't. So thank the Lord for that.
We had been drinking, but we went to the natatorium, and Hank Thompson and the Brazos Boys, Valley Boys were playing, and all of a sudden a fight broke out with the Fly Boys and the Army guys. So I just reached up and took one swing, and I hit a guy right there on the chin, and he just fell, just like hit the bull over the head of the post. And then I stepped over him and got another one. And so after that, I was always the burly one. Hank Thompson, he just kept playing. He said, boys, you're gonna get in trouble, break it up, the law's coming. But he never missed a beat.
Right, so it was very, very tough time, you know, to take the responsibility and keep you from being killed. You had to be ready for the unexpected. You never knew what was going to happen one day to the next. We lost a lot of pilots in training. Oxygen was one of the biggest problems we had. I got probably 15 or more places where they were killed.
This was in the post World War II era. The draft was still in effect. So it was a good idea to belong to something. I joined the ROTC there. I went to Fort Belvoir, Virginia, which is the Corps of Engineers in the Army, and flunked out on the medical test because of my eyes. For some reason, they didn't want me in. I went back and finished school. Then I went to work as an engineer. This is the height of Korean War. Draft board says, you're drafted. And the Army doctor says, yeah, you really can't see, but you're in. Well, colleagues of mine said, and the Air Force want people who have technical degree. They'll give you a direct commission. That sounds good relative to the draft. And then I resigned after a number of years. In the Vietnam era, I was loaned out by the laboratory to a special group formed by the Defense Department to oversee various sensor activities. One of it was to detect we call them the bad guys, bringing down stuff from the north and the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Folks in our laboratory designed and built a guidance computer system that allowed the naval aircraft to make just one pass. They had a designated point. Now, GPS is so common nowadays, this may sound kindergarten style, but there was no GPS. We assisted the Air Force in developing a similar sensor. So the updated computer was put in these aircraft, and it was used from bases out of Thailand to deliver the sensors.
Joined the Navy when I was 18 years old. Regular port would be St. Tao, China. Destroyer Division 171 consists of 4 destroyers. Training at night, way out, dark, pitch dark. And then the captain announced, man your battle stations. And the smoking lamp is out, turn our lights out, and we were going full speed, 4 destroyers. So when the Commodore passed the word to turn right, Duncan turned right, and we were the second one, and we did not turn. We kept straight, and then the Chandler was the third one, and he turned. The Chandler hit us and caught the ship completely 40 feet from the front back. Some crew members were saying we hit a mine, explosion. It was bad. The ship started to rock back and forth. And they didn't turn because the radio operators were not in their station. They were playing cards. They knew it was just maneuver, so training, so they didn't care. And when they passed the word to go, the radio operators did not tell the captain to turn right. Those 40 feet went down with 2 crew members, and 3 of them jumped scared. It was a very traumatic experience. Took us about 15 minutes with searchlights at night, just couldn't see, looking for him. And you can hear him yelling, help, help. And you can hear him on one side, but actually it was someplace else, And finally we found him. And you can see jellyfish. I don't know if you know what a jellyfish, huge ones, with just like when you were, around in that area, I got transferred to the USS Higbee, and then they had us patrolling South Korea because Korea was getting hot 2 weeks before Korea started. When I got discharged, they asked me if I wanted to re-enlist or stay on in active reserves. And that's when they called me back in. We took off and we went to the island of Etu. Japanese invaded that island, and that's why we went to clean the island. The winch that was lowering the thing was slipping, and the bundles of 20-foot long rebar came at us, and I got caught and broke my tibia. I was in a hospital there 3 months, October, November, and December of 1952.
You get in and out of the submarine without flooding the whole ship through the escape trunk. You put a Mae West on, and when you get out, you blow all the air that you have in your lungs out, and then you pop that air thing on the Mae West, and you're started to the surface. And when you come out at the surface, like coming off a high diving board. One of those times when we were making free ascents from 100 feet, there was a 25-foot great white shark, and he scared me green. We took pictures of the first ever nuclear Russian submarine to be launched, and we got a commendation for that. I think of Vietnam. I think of all the men that, that we've lost there. And for what? You know, they came back, they were treated like dogs. America lost its backbone. And I hated to see that. Kind of a John Wayne type most of my life, I guess. Mom and apple pie and all that means something to me. I stood there and I cried like a baby. All that wall runs forever. And all those names on that wall. And each name stands for a guy who lost his life.
Did a lot of patrol in Vietnam was our duty. We'd fly out of Thailand and go fly the coast where the river went up to supply all the supplies to all the towns up there. And we'd fly by, and there was a system that was all organized that if you came upon a ship, because we rigged ships to identify them, we'd fly by and we had what we call the MAROP scope, and we flashed it with a light out the window, and they had to answer it. And this one big ship, we could see it on radar, and we went by about 3 times and flashed the MAROPS code and never got an answer any time. We had the next step was that we had paraflares that was under the wing, and we could drop them off the airplane, and we'd drop one flare short, one on top of the whatever it was we wanted to look at, and one a little bit long. And then we would come back, go down and make a U-turn and come back. By that time, the paraflares was all lit up and the sky was lit up like daylight. It was bright enough we could take pictures, and then we could identify the ship. And this one ship that was a big one, like it was a big supply ship's what it was. But when we come back by, it was the darndest mess you ever saw, because one of the parachutes didn't work on the paraflare, and it landed on the deck of the ship. Well, all the deckhands were out there trying to shove it over the side before it burned through the deck, because it was an ammunition ship. If it had burnt through the deck, the whole ship would have blown up. And when we didn't know, anyway, I guess they shoved it over before it blew up, but they called Washington, and it wasn't about 5 minutes after they did that, we got a call to cancel our flight and go directly back to the base. Well, we'd done what we were supposed to do, so they couldn't say a whole lot. It wasn't our fault that the parachute didn't work.
I started out when I was a 16-year-old kid. In my hometown, there was an active Naval Reserve, and I had some buddies, and he kept pounding on me to join. So I went and told my mom and talked to her about it. She said, it'll do you good. I said, why, Mom? She said, because it'll grow you up. And after my years of being Air Force, I quit. I got out. Mistake number 10, I guess, or something like that. Should have stayed. It's been a long time since I've cried. And today's the one that broke the ice. I couldn't fathom what it really meant to me deep down to see that wall out there. You see the pictures and everything, but it doesn't not get real to you until you get here and see it. See those names in that wall, 56,000 or so, and realize what all of those people had done for me. What they did, the ultimate sacrifice. And I'm in great company, and I appreciate all of you.
I was a poor boy from Georgia, and I went in the military when I was 17 years old. We had stopped a ground attack on the fire support base. We had caught the enemy actually reconnoitering the base, and we caught them between the second and the third strands of wire. That irritated them, and they put notices up that they was going to overrun us. At night and everything, we had the starlight scopes that you could see the enemy. It would glow and everything if there was a body in there. And when we looked all around us and everything, it was just a constant glow. They had us surrounded and everything. Pretty much scared. I said, this is, you know, reality and everything, man. This is going to be an intense night. You know. If these guys are that serious about coming in and getting us and everything, somebody called in a mechanized unit, and they come screaming down the road and everything, and I guess freaked them out and they run. One time we got called out in the open, mortar rounds started falling, and I basically low crawled about 200 yards to get to a bunker, and I was thought some intense thoughts then about not making it. I had left Vietnam and got out of the Army on a hardship discharge. I got out for 4 years, and I come back in the military, and I went from E2 to E7 in 7 years, and ultimately become a command sergeant major.
When we got there, as soon as the plane touched the ground, the rockets started coming in. It said, "We're not stopping," and I thought, how are we getting off? We ran off the back of it without the plane stopping. And they threw the pallet off and everything, and then we all ran off. They blew up the pallet with all the gear on it. I had one shirt and one pair of pants, and that was it. And for a long time, I was all over Vietnam. I was radio man. When you got in the firefight, the officers went first, and then the radio man. Your life span of a radio man was 3 seconds in a firefight. A couple of guys had ordered flags for their state to fly on our building at Red Beach. So I ordered one from our governor, and he sent me a flag of New Mexico, which I still have. We had it flying on our building, and it flew there for almost 3 months before we moved. Other time, a scout dog come in, and the guy says, "Don't ever touch that dog. He's really mean. He'll kill you." And so I thought, well, I don't think he's going to be that mean. So I went over there and I started petting it. And before long, the scout dog was following me everywhere and even slept with me. They treated us pretty badly. In LAX, they called us baby killers, spit on us, and I just generally was very hostile towards us. The way they treated us today was unreal. It was really, really nice, especially in the last airport. And that guy that read all the stuff about us, but that was really something else. It was really nice. And then all the clapping that they've done down through the airport there, that was really nice too. They treated us really, really bad when we came home, but they made up for it today.
I was on a World War II Fletcher destroyer, crew of 265. The ship was only 39 feet wide at the widest, and it's 376 feet long. By the second day, we were into a pretty good storm, and it got worse and worse and worse. And my duty station was combat or CIC forward below the bridge, and I was a radarman. It got to be where the sea was pretty close to 30-foot waves. It was just black with rain and wind. And on a destroyer, you bob around and twist and turn and roll. We'd roll up to at least 50 degrees, if not more. Now, for me to go on watch at midnight, and we had a hatch to get up on the 01 level. when you went up through the hatch, you had to time it so the waves were on the opposite side. So the waves wouldn't hit you because you'd get washed off. And you'd run the best you could. It was black, dark, no lights. And that's how we got back and forth for 4 days in that typhoon. The seas were just black, and the waves would come up over the bridge, halfway up the mast. Our bow would be buried, roll, pitch, screws would come out of the water, and then they'd go back in, and the ship would just shudder. And it'd dig in, and then the nose would go under, and we'd come up on the waves, and we'd just come bouncing down, bang. And well, this went on until finally the weather started getting better. The wind was dying down. The captain said general quarters, and we came about 180 degrees. He timed it as best he could so we wouldn't broach. Anyway, we come back around and headed back to Taiwan. We split seams in the hull underwater, so we were taking on some water. Gun turret, they were smashed. We had hatches tore off. I thought we were going to go down. I really thought we were going to go down. That's a scary, scary thing. The water, it threw us around like we were, that's why they call us tin can sailors. I tell you what, that typhoon gave me PTSD. I can't get it out of my mind. A sailor's combat is the sea.
First, I want to apologize to my wife because I had an abrasion several years ago. My two knees, my right knee is still bothering me. I want to thank Chris and Dwayne for helping me out. When I was in Vietnam, me and my friend Gore, he got killed. We had a grappling hook and we took a body out of a well. And I saw a picture of his wife and two gracious little girls. And I said to myself, what are we doing here in this war? They're never gonna see their father again. I said, don't walk the dike. And sure enough, I went on top of the dike and I got blown up too. I stepped on a grenade and, well, that's my story today. And I hope my wife will forgive me for being sick. Thank you.
It's been a very unforgettable event for both of us. Harry Lee has always felt bad since he got really sick, and he's always apologizing, and that's understandable because he feels helpless, like I'm sure that a lot of veterans do when they get worse and worse. We wouldn't do anything less for them because we love them. We got married after he came from Vietnam, and he was a whole year and a half at William Beaumont in El Paso, Texas. He had many surgeries, and he went through a lot. We were very young at the time, and when he went, he said, you know, I didn't even know what I was doing, Sheila, when I got there. He says, I couldn't believe where we were. I had no idea what we were doing. And then when he told me about that body that they found, and he realized that he had two little girls and a wife, he said, that really got to me. And that's when he said, what am I doing here? And, but he continued on because he felt that was his duty for his country because his dad had done it before him. So for all of you veterans, I understand because I've been living with this man for 51 years. And we just celebrated 51 years. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And after 2 children, I still love him and I will continue to care for him.
When I went to Vietnam, because I was going to work on the, most of you remember the FB-111. But when I got there, they separated us and they started asking questions like, do you have any tattoos? So I said, no. So then they told me to move over with another group and they gave me a little card with Geneva Convention card. So my first question was, what is this for? If you get captured, give them this card. And supposedly they'll treat you right. But also if you get killed, the government will disavow any knowledge of your existence. I go, oh. Okay, well, that's good news. So they got us all on a C-141, and they took us and they started dropping us off in classified bases. They dropped me off at Uban. When the United States started pulling the ground troops, they said, okay, you know what, we can't leave the air bases here. You might say the secret headquarters from Saigon, they moved it over to NKP, Thailand. Takli, Karat, all these other, there were like 7. And actually there were more personnel in Thailand than in Vietnam. So we were loaded with work. We were sleeping under the tables, and we couldn't go to our dormitories because it was just constant 16 hours a day. It was interesting because when you're young and you don't know anything, you don't do it for yourself, you do it for your country. So no matter if you're hurt, whatever, you keep on going. But when I got out of the service, I had a lot of problems with you might say the VA, because they could not get my records cleared because all this is classified. I would have to go to Congress to get it released. So I left it at that. But this is, I mean, it's very true of how hard, like some of us that were in the secret war, we came back to, I mean, just, hey, go get a job. It's 1975 that they just said, no, we can't help you. See? Oh, and then they told me this story. What do you want benefits for? You guys lost the war. Okay, you guys lost the war, it was a police action. So I just kind of like, oh, okay, you know, I mean, what do you do? I was only 22. But that's what you have to do. You have to tie your shoelaces and say, I gotta keep going, you know, and don't give up. So I hope Tony's promised me that he would give me 100%. Thank you.
Coming here allowed me to face some of my devils in the past, my symptoms, and move forward, because we get stuck in life. In a trauma, you get stuck and you don't move forward. You're just stuck there. And what was really the pudding was that 5 of the people that I provided therapy are in this group here. It just happened that way. There is hope, and if you have had success, it's because you don't give up. Like they told us in basic and in Vietnam, as long as you get to the top of the hill, whether you run up the hill or crawl up the hill, you have that determination and you're special.
Well, I started off in '57. I just did a little bit of time. I did 30 years. Well, the Air Force was always pretty good to me. Kept food on the table when I was home to enjoy it. Of course, been deployed all the time in places you don't know and can't talk about.
I know that he did a lot of sacrificing, and I mean, it was mostly my mom and my sister and I, because Dad was always gone. Especially when we went to Vietnam. You know, it's kind of hard to understand as a young kid what your dad is going through. But I got my first taste of what it was like to be in the military when my mom would tell me to go wake Dad up for a midnight shift, and I ended up realizing I had to low crawl in to wake him up, because if not, I got knocked on my ass. And I hope you guys realize that everybody is proud of you and what you did and all the sacrifices that you gave us, so that we could be free and do what we want to do all the time.
1969, Marine Corps birthday. First time we'd had a hot meal since we'd been there. At the same time they brought us a hot meal, well, they brought us 1 beer and 1 soda. But anyway, PJ and I managed to trade our soda for a beer, and then some of the guys didn't even want their beer, and so we managed to get 3 or 4 beers apiece. And so it was getting toward evening, and our platoon was slated to go on night ambush. We wasn't feeling any pain, so when dark came, the whole platoon takes off. We were in the last squad, and we got separated from the platoon. We decided, since it was so dark, we would all head to the ocean. We would link up with the other unit. And we were going along there, and we came to a halt. Well, we had linked up, but nobody had passed the word back. We looked down the beach, and here comes some people diddy-bopping down the beach. Well, we didn't know if it was some of our guys, because they hadn't told us that we had linked up. So after conversations amongst each other, we decided that it wasn't our guys. So everybody hit the ground. All hell broke loose. So when we hit the ground, the guy on this side, he had his on rock and roll. All the hot shell casings and everything was coming on top of me and Steve. If you ever been hit by a hot shell casing, it's just like taking a match and sticking it, And then the guy on the other side of Steve had his muzzle right here by Steve's ear, and he had on rock and roll. And I had the M79. I finally got it with one hand and shot around out there. PJ Thornton come busting through the brush behind us, got down right next to Steve. Then we had what we call a pop-up flare. What you do is you take the cap off it and you hit it and it shoots a rocket up. But it was in the monsoons, everything was wet. Keeps hitting it, won't go off. So he takes his helmet off, puts it down on the ground right by Steve, and he bangs on the helmet with that thing. Well, when he did, it kind of went off to the side of the helmet, and that rocket went off and went right by Steve's head and singed all his hair and everything. And the rocket goes behind us and goes off, illuminates us. When it got a little bit quiet, Steve, he whispers over to me, says, I think my pants.
The ship was the AKA 106 Union, but we were the first 3 ships that wait landing there in Da Nang. During the daytime, we used to see the aircraft actually bombarding the beach there, and I still didn't think, I think this is the movies, I wasn't actually thinking that actually it was real, I would just say, well, it looks like the movies actually. And then at that time I said, yeah, it is real. Up to that point, I wasn't scared. But after that point, I got real scared. We went back to the States there and transferred me to an LSD. We went back to Vietnam and I still was kind of scared. So finally, I said, well, I gotta go through it regardless of whatever it is. And what really scared me was when we hit those typhoons out at sea, that really, to me, looked like a feather in a bowl of water, and move the bowl, and that's how it was the ship. Sometimes you would go down like that, and the wave would go over there,
My grandson that was here this morning, he is in the Old Guard, and he is thoroughly enjoying it. He laid the reef for the New Mexico station. He laid that this morning, and he said he felt very honored that we asked him to do that. And so he was happy, and I understand quite a few of you have commented how happy you were to meet him this morning, and I thank you very much.
Long range reconnaissance said just drop 4, 5, 6 of us out, and we'd just go and do our thing and get materials dropped up to us. And every 30 days we'd get a new pair of fatigues because we stunk like crazy. The first time was pretty rough, and had a couple of buddies die in my arm. One time we was at this little area and we got pinned down and we just fired at anything and everything, and next morning woke up and started counting the bodies and checking them, and I rode over this one body, and it was a young girl. She was one of them. And she couldn't have been more than 17, 18 years old. That's burnt into my mind that I killed that 17-year-old girl. But I realize now it was her or me. But it just bugs the heck out of me that I had to kill her. My second tour was a little bit better. I was with the 1st Brigade. Made it through there pretty well. Had one of the guys, in fact, he was writing to my sister. And one morning, he didn't show up, and we had a search team go around and look, went to all the bunkers and everything, and I came upon him. He blew his head off. For some reason or other, 2 weeks before he left, and I had to write to my sister and let her know.
I want to thank the Honor Flight members, the organization. Secondly, I want to thank all you veterans for your service, your sacrifice. You World War II veterans, I am deeply honored to be with you. Because of you, we have the freedom that you have given us. As far as you Korean War veterans, you were not treated with respect at all. I stand here, honored, and served in the Marine Corps for 29 years. And I did it simply to honor you and to show you that I cared for your service. This country means a whole lot to me. If I had to, I'd do it again. It is amazing what this organization has done for me in sight. I have 27 Marines at the memorial. I took the names of 3 of them, which were members of the track team at Jefferson High School. Again, I thank you very much. General, I salute you, sir.
1971 in Quezon, we came under attack on the 27th of May at 12:30 a.m. A good friend of mine, which was a medic named Nikishima, was running to help an injured soldier and was killed. Today, while I was at the wall, I scratched his name onto a piece of paper. When I turned around, there was 4 or 5 people, Japanese people, were all excited, and they kept asking me, they were pointing to the wall, why his name? And I said, he was my friend. It was his family. And they didn't speak English, but they had one of them smartphones and translated. And they wanted to know what happened to their uncle. So I told them. And you think time passes and you forget feelings are different, but they're not. It was like yesterday. The shorty died, but now his family knows how he died. They're trying to save somebody else. I don't understand, why I traveled 2,000 miles to come here, and they traveled probably thousands of miles to be here too because of a coincidence. Call it what you want. I guess what will be, will be. Made a difference in my life today.
I just graduated, and all of a sudden, it didn't take long to take me. I got drafted. It's a lot different. I went from training to actually combat. And it still bothers me, but and I was in a fire base. We got hit all the time. It was almost got overrun and all. For me as a young age, I was only 18. I couldn't even buy beer yet, and I was still out there fighting, keep myself alive. There was a mission started. Soldiers called it Hamburger Hill, and I didn't know what it was about. After they had a lot of combat area, they said, okay, all you bees, start picking up bodies. It was a hill, raining, and as we walked, we started picking. There was no coverage for our American soldiers to hide, and the enemy was on top. So they got hit, throw grenades, pop. Further going up the hill, I started picking up departed bodies, hands, heads, feet, and it bothered me because I saw a lot of people with wedding bands. I said, wow, they have a family. So I started putting them in body bags and then would bring them down. But what bothers me, I didn't even know who it was or what, because it was a sergeant pulling dog tags. I said, wow, man, for me young, so I finally saw bodies all over. So the wall, yesterday, it hit me hard. And people ask me, well, where's your buddies? And I says, people, I did not know names. I had just picked up bodies, threw in bags, but I had no name, no clue who they were. As far as I know, they're all over. And that's something that I'll never forget because I don't know who they were. I see all these names and I walked and looked and I don't know who it is, who it was. That's all it was. Names. And it was very hard.
The most impressive thing that I saw today, and I'll have to admit that it was the World War II memorial that was so massive and huge. But The one that ripped my heart out was the Vietnam War. I bawled like a baby. Thank you.
veterans and to relive their tradition of selfless service, we are going to have an old-fashioned mail call.
Have you walked in their boots? Have you marched along beside them? Have you fought with everything you have? It takes blood, sweat, and tears to keep our nation free. Our soldiers' blood waits proudly on our flag. Will you give 4 years of your life?
So with this little boy, you know, he's maybe about 7th or 8th grade, and he's telling me how much he appreciates me and everything. And then he says, my dad's in Afghanistan, and I was going to empty the garbage. I was going out to empty the garbage, and I started to cry because I miss him so much. So I'm gonna go to the editor for the Sun News and see if they'll publish that to show, you know, what it's like to be a veteran, you know, for him. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
The soldier's hard and willing to fight for their country. Many were forged by the sea. They aim high and fly, and always fight to win. And they are always faithful to the end.
It's incredible how all of you guys do it, because if I was in your shoes, I would be a chicken and run away. It really takes a special person with a big heart to do what you guys did. We all love you and really do thank you.
Great moral courage and self-sacrifice is a soldier's way of life.
Thank you so much for your service. I really do mean it. My dad is in the military as well. He's been deployed twice. The second time I was in kindergarten, I missed him so much I would cry myself to sleep. But I knew he was doing great things for our nation, just like you.
Duty, honor, and freedom is what's in a soldier's heart. And I thank God for the ones who hear the call.
Growing up, my dad was a ranger at Hunter Army Airfield. His job was tough. He'd always get deployed and I'd barely see him. I'd pray that he'd come home safe. I didn't know at the time that his job was dangerous, but as I got older, I knew, especially when his buddy died. So I just want to say thank you for the time you served and the battles you fought and for the freedom you brought. Freedom isn't cheap. It comes at a high cost, and what you guys did is beyond anything.
Soldiers hard and willing to fight for their country. Many were forged by the sea.
You are so courageous to have fought in World War II. I wouldn't be who I am, especially because I'm Jewish. You are an amazing, brave, strong, and awesome person. You are my hero from far away. I am free, I am safe, I am protected. I am me. I love the sacrifice you have made for us. All veterans have been inscribed in my heart, with hugs from my heart.
They aim high and fly, and always fight to win. And they are always faithful to the end. The soldier's heart is faithful to the end.
Letters I got from Timber.
What's up, sir?
It's cool. I've only lived in Tiburon 6 months. It looks like the whole town. Since stuff. I like that. That's really good.
To the servicemen and women of the United States Armed Forces who have served throughout the years, we salute you for your bravery, honor, and sacrifice protecting this country from enemies both foreign and domestic. We tip our caps and salute you for fighting for our flag and our freedom. With you we stand, the American people.
Pack your bags and headed out, early morning train, off to fight for freedom in a land so far away. Order saved for 18 months, heaven only knows they'll see old glory fly again over the town that they call home.
True, we got treated bad because I didn't get a welcome home. I couldn't get a taxi. I had to walk from the airport all the way to my house. I could not get a taxi. So I said, okay, well, it's okay. So I just got my duffel bag and just walked it all the way to the house. And then when I went to school, because I started going to community college, and this girl just got up in my face and said, why were you over there killing kids? Why were you over there, destroying, lives? And I'm just, wow, like, that was my job, to do something for my country. See, when you're young, you just don't think about it. You do it for your country, but you don't do it for yourself. It's not like, well, I'm gonna get 2-3 medals and all that. No, you do it because, hey, I'm a soldier, I'm an airman, Navy man, whatever, sailor, whatever. So you just do it. That letter that the VFW gave me, man, I had never seen such beautiful words. So it made me feel so good that at home, I have it next to the bed, right? And every once in a while I look at it. It's kind of like, it's like, I don't know, to me it's like a degree, you know what I'm saying? You see it and you say, what does exemplary mean?
Some storm the desert hills of Afghanistan. Others fought in jungles in the thick of Vietnam. They battled in Korea. It was hell for all to see. Pray to save the whole world twice from hate and tyranny. Soldier's job is never done. Lay it on.
First, when I got off plane, there was people demonstrating. I said, wow. People demonstrating, spitting at you, throwing stuff at you, and they call you baby killer. That's what I got called. It's different now. When I got off the plane the day before yesterday, the Esquire named all what I had, campaign battle and all of a sudden all the people started clapping. It was something different for me. People clapping and saying hi and everything. But now that I saw these kids yesterday, it's changed my, it changed my aspect. I said, wow, there's kids that really appreciate what you did. And I tell them, don't ever burn that flag, because in 670, I saw people die for that flag.
Soldier's job is never done. Lay it on the line. Too often unsung hero, while the world holds others high. Uncle Sam rings that phone, there's few take the call. The reason that there's freedom for us all. All who fought and those who paid the price will remember you.
I wouldn't talk about it for the first 10 to 15 years. The first time I got back to San Francisco, New Year's night, we got to the base and they says, no one goes anywhere except straight to the airport, straight to the bus station, wherever you're gonna go. Well, first of all, we got off the plane and loaded on the wire cage bus. We all got bombarded with rotten eggs and tomatoes or anything I think so, and signs, baby killers, and the idea that you couldn't be proud of your uniform and couldn't wear it. They gave you enough money to buy a pair of civilian clothes, and that upset me. You guys have opened me up. Yesterday was one of the most beautiful days of my life. I don't think I went the whole day without tears in my eyes. I feel like I'm finally welcome home.
Soldier's job is never done. Lay it on the line. Too often unsung hero, while the world holds others high. When Uncle Sam rings that phone, there's few take the call. The reason that there's freedom for us all. All who fought and those who paid the price will remember. Soldier's job is never done. Lay it on the line. Too often unsung heroes, the world holds others high. When Uncle Sam rings that phone, there's few take the call. The reason that there's freedom for us all. All who fought and those who paid the price.
Have you walked in their boots?
I was real surprised on the mail, and because you guys pulled it off without me not having an iota that I was getting all that mail. I don't know how you got to my wife, my kids, my grandkids. It was just, special.
Soldier's hard and willing to fight for their country. Many were forged by the...
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the letters. The kids have really done a lot, and they've shown a lot of support for us.
And always fight to win. And they are always faithful to the end.
The whole organization of the honor flight, I mean, I was amazed. Because it seems like everybody is just like a well-knitted sweater. You don't have no, like anything hanging out. Everybody knew what to do in this trip. Like you had people, okay, we're gonna check in the bags. Okay, you had somebody else, okay, I need to take pictures. I mean, everything was just so organized, so nicely, so tightly knit.
I went over to this honor flight. That really changed a lot with me because I was really, really, really happy. I didn't expect what I found, and that sort of helped me to forget what happened back then, you know, with all the help that you all provided, of course. And I recommend that to everybody too.
To fight for their country, many were for.
I'd always known this as victory, and then when I got back here, it was peace.
They aim high and fly. And
man, I'll tell you, this trip has just been. I woke up at midnight last night, and I think I didn't go back to sleep for a long time. And I was thinking about what an honor this is.
The soldier's heart is faithful to the end.
Yeah, so I hope it keeps going for a long time.
Thank you.